What everyone, it's Just Man here, and I just wanted to bring you guys a quick gaming update about Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Bethesda's PR guy, Pete Hines, answered quite a few questions on Twitter uh, about Elder Scrolls 5, and in doing so, he released some new details we haven't seen yet up until now. So I'm just gonna read off the details here and say my thoughts about some of them. So first up, we have the with confirmation that you can save anywhere. There are no checkpoints, but there is a three autosave system feature though. And further elaborating upon this is that you can alternate between 3 autosave slots, and you can set them in time intervals, so like every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, etc. And that's because it saves on sleep, weight, and other things. I think that's very good. Kind of reminds me of the way you can set up Google Docs or Windows Microsoft Word to save on time intervals, so you never really have to keep constantly saving and such, and you don't have that added risk factor of dying or turning off your console and not remembering that you didn't save, and then you have to do all that over again. And it's just something that's really needed in a game like this. You don't want to have to go back through the game and do whatever you just did because you carelessly forgot to save, and the autosave feature didn't kick in time, or something didn't happen, or you didn't trigger it in some way. Like in some games you have to trigger it, whether it's by completing a new chapter or going through a new cutscene or doing something significantly important to the game. But anyway, there are children in the game, and continuing Bethesda's little "you can't kill children" thing. Obviously you can't kill children, and that makes sense because the fact if you could kill children in this game, I think that would get a lot of controversy from various media outlets such as Fox News, possibly MSNBC, and CNN and other just news outlets, and maybe even the BBC. Who knows? So, in doing so, Bethesda's kept the game not off the maps, but off of the bad maps, so they don't get like a bad reputation for the game. It doesn't have a chance of getting an AO rating or anything bad like that. For all of you that know, if you guys just get on the PC and there are mods included, then there probably will be a mod that'll let you kill the children. So if you really have a hunger for killing the children, dear God, I hope you don't, then just get on the PC and there'll probably eventually be a mod for that. But there's no hardcore mode, and meaning that there won't be a mode where your HUD's just gone. It's just you and the environment, and you have that more realistic feeling to the game. And while this is kind of good for some players, I guess this is bad for others. This is something I would have loved to see in a game like this, especially with the way it's shaping up with the beautiful environments and such. Sometimes the HUD hinders you from seeing the environment to its fullest, and having a hardcore mode just increases the realism that you experience from games like this, and whether it be Uncharted or Call of Duty or Battlefield or other games. I think more games should implement the hardcore feature just for those people that want to be able to play in it and have that extra sense of realism, or have that extra sense of strategy or difficulty or whatever it may be. But finishing moves happen randomly, meaning that you don't, the player doesn't trigger them. They don't have choice of when it happens. They don't have choice of what finishing move that occurs or when they see them. So yeah, I guess that confirms for people that were wondering whether you can trigger finishing moves or what finishing move you do. You just can't. There's a lot of music, quite hours of music. And the music isn't composed by Jeremy Soule, and honestly I don't have anything to say about the music. I'm not much of an Elder Scrolls music person, so that's not really much for me. We scroll down a little bit. So there's not gonna be any deformable terrain, meaning that there probably won't be any environment destruction, because that Bethesda says that they created such a beautiful world and they don't want to mess that up, and creating a beautiful world is hard enough as it is. So I guess that kind of makes sense in a sense, but in another way, it just seems like Bethesda's being lazy in the fact that they don't want to have to program environment destruction to the game and program what'll happen when you do this and that and this, and it just, in all honesty, kind of seems lazy. I mean, if DICE was able to do it, why isn't Bethesda? But then, on the other hand, I can kind of understand that, because Skyrim is a much bigger scale game than excuse me, than Battlefield 3 is. So I guess it's kind of like a double-edged sword there. But for those people that wanted environment destruction, you just got confirmation that you won't be getting that in this video game. You can indeed buy enchanted armor or weapons, or you can just create them yourself. And Bethesda says that doing it yourself is a lot cheaper, and it could be better than what you found, and that's obviously common in most RPGs these days. It's better to create the weapon yourself or go on a scavenger hunt for it rather than going to buy it from a shop for a ridiculously inflated price. I mean, that's just common sense for most RPG goers. So I mean, that's not necessarily real news for everybody that plays RPG on the regular, but for those people that don't play RPG like that, then I guess that's more geared towards you guys. And next bullet point says that the settings are determined on settings determine how hard the enemies are, and the difficulty just based on your level. It's more of a range. So I guess this means that in addition to a difficulty level like easy, medium, hard, or very hard, or whatever, the game scales in difficulty the higher the level you get. Or like the game starts out as somewhat easy when you're low level, and then as you climb the level tree, then it becomes a greater increases in its difficulty since you have more experience in the game. And if I am indeed right on that, and I'm sorry if I'm getting that information twisted up, then honestly I don't see a problem with that. Well, much of a problem with that. First off, it's good in the sense that it gives more of an experienced players a challenge, whereas like if you're experienced at one point, then you're not experienced at the other point. The game's gonna seem harder when you're not experienced, and then if that difficulty doesn't scale once you're more experienced, then everything's gonna be a lot easier now because you know what to do. Whereas this will be bad for people who play games for a long time, get to a certain level, then stop cold turkey for a while, then come back to that game, because that game will still be increasingly difficult. Especially if you're trying to do like a run on very hard or something, you're not going to want to change the difficulty down to hard or easy or medium or whatever, because that's just not something that you want to do, especially if you're looking to get difficulty specific trophy. But again, I think that's another double-edged sword that Bethesda's including in the game. As with all Bethesda's previous games, subtitles for everything are in the game. So for you, for people who can't hear very well, that's excellent information for you guys. So Bethesda's looking out for the deaf or near-deaf people. And there is button mapping, and button mapping is a thing that's not really included in most games today. So having button mapping in this game and the ability to choose what button does what on a controller is a godsend, especially for people who have that kind of abstract playstyle, who need to fine tune their controls to get it the way they feel comfortable, and who just don't like the way that shooters and such have conditioned the control scheme to like one specific layout. But yeah, that's all I have for this quick gaming update on Skyrim, and I will see you guys later today. And remember, guys, that the Tokyo Game Show starts off today with Nintendo's pre-TGS conference. That'll mostly be a 3DS centric conference, and it's been speculated that they'll show off more of the new 3DS slide pad, which is the second analog attachment to the 3DS, and they'll probably announce a 3DS redesign, so probably a 3DS Lite, and this new 3DS redesign will most likely incorporate this second analog stick into the system, so you won't have to buy it as an attachment. So for those of you about to get 3DS, I'd say wait until this conference is over, and if they don't announce the new 3DS, and just go ahead and buy one. But if they do announce it, then keep your money in your pockets, then and wait a little bit while, because chances are there'll also be another price drop with that new 3DS Lite or 3DS XL for all we know, and the new 3DS iteration. But yeah, that's all we have for this game update. I'm just a man, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.